Hello friends, in this session we are going to discuss about form elements in HTML. We know what is the purpose of form element. The form element will help us to get input from the user. So whenever we are going to get any input data from the user, like using the text box or using the radio button, drop down list, checkbox, or choosing any file, all this kind of input can be received from the user and we can submit this kind of data to the server. So for that purpose, collecting the data from the user and submitting this data to the server can be done through this form element. So we are going to discuss each and every element, sub-elements present under the form. So this is a HTML file which I have opened a fresh HTML file, and here I'm going to give the title for this form as form element, and then under the body let us give a h1 tag and we'll give some heading as form elements in HTML. Okay. So let's start using this form element. So here is our form element. Okay. So this form has two main important attributes. One such thing is action. What does this action specify is? It will tell us whenever we are going to submit our data to the server, so to which web page or to which server I have to submit this data. That can be mentioned in the action part. So this can be a half of the URL or a complete URL. So at present I have a file, like I'm not going to send it anywhere. So let me put it as hash, or else you can specify anything, like you can create one more HTML file here, and let me name this file as first page, and I'm going to finish it. So here let us give some heading h1, and I'm going to say my first page. Okay. So here we are not going to concentrate on the scripting. We are going to concentrate only on the form element. So let it be here, and now we will go to this page, and here we can use first underscore page dot HTML. That is the HTML file which we have created. So whenever I click my submit button, automatically the data collected in the form will be sent to this page. So otherwise, if you have some other server page to be submitted, you have to give the complete URL here or the partial URL. So the next next important attribute of form element is method. What does this method means? In what way I am going to submit my data? So here we can give two values, key value pair. So one value can be get method, other one is post method. So when I submit my data using a get method, all my data will be sent as an environmental variable. And if I use it as a post method, the data will be sent to the buffer. So these are the two methods available. The next thing we are going to concentrate on all the other input types which is going to help us to get the input from the user. So the usual one which is used to get the input is input tag, and this input tag is an empty tag. Hope you know under the HTML we have two kinds of tags. One is container tag, another one is empty tag, and this input tag is a empty tag which is not going to have any content. Instead it is going to have some important attributes for it. So first we are going to have the input tag, and then we are going to say the type. So this is very important. The tag name is input, and the type we have to specify. Type specify what kind of input I am going to get from the user. Let us start with the text. So whenever I want to get one single line of input from the user, in that time, this input tag with the type as text will be helping us. So let us display this. So if you see here side by side, you can see the output of this page. So here we have given a h1 tag to get the input, h1 tag to display the heading. So hope you can able to see form element in HTML. This header h1 tag, and followed by we have given a form element to get the input. So here let us for simplicity to understand, let us say username, okay, and space colon. So you can see here username, and we are going to give some input, okay. And if you see here, when I go to this page, automatically the cursor should wait there. Say for example, if I refresh this page, nowhere the cursor is waiting here, right? I have to click on it, then I have to start typing my data. So if you think that automatically when the page is loading, my cursor should wait on the username, if you want like that, then you have to give an attribute called autofocus. So now if you don't want to give any value, you can just say autofocus. And if you now refresh your page and if you check, automatically the cursor is waiting on the username. So if it doesn't put you autofocus, now if you see, the cursor is nowhere waiting. But if I say autofocus, and you can see here, if you refresh this page, automatically the cursor is waiting in the username text box. And sometimes if I doesn't give this label here in the left side as username, and the user doesn't know what type of input should I enter in the text box. So there comes the attribute called placeholder. Okay, and here in the placeholder, I am going to say enter the username. So now you can see automatically the enter the username is coming behind the text box. So once I click it and start entering, the enter the username placeholder will be invisible. So when the user first time seeing the text box without this label, so for say for example, if I take away this label beside this, and automatically the user will know this text box is meant to enter the username. So that's the purpose of placeholder, and you have to give what should be displayed on it. So this is the very basic one to get the input as a text, and it can be a single line input. In that case, we will be using input tag with the type as text. So let us have the username here. So for a good look. And the next thing is, I'm going to use a break tag. Otherwise, it will be displayed as a flow controls. One after other it will be displaying. I'm going to display every element one after other the next line. So I'm going to use a break BR tag. Otherwise, we can use a table layout to keep all my form elements there for a good look. So not to mix table and form element, just I'm going to use BR tag, the break tag. The next thing, I'm going to get password from the user. So for that we have the tag as usual, input tag, and it is an empty tag. So I'm ending it with the slash, and here I'm going to give the type as password. So usually we know whenever we are typing a password, it should not be visible to the user. So when I say type as password, automatically the text I'm going to type will not be visible to the user. Instead, I will get some bullets on it. So here you can see the output here. So username is there, followed by I have a password. And for styling and all, we have to go for CSS, but I'm not going to concentrate anything on say styling or using CSS. Just we are seeing the form elements. Then here also we can use placeholder, and here we can say enter password. So immediately we can see enter password placeholder is here. Once I start typing something, you could see only the bullets. Whatever text I'm typing here is not visible on the password. So that's the advantage of keeping type as password. So here we have given type as password. So whatever I type here will not be visible to the user. It's coming as a bullet. Okay. So next we are going to see the next thing. Like we are going to submit our data to the server. So for that, again the tag is input and the type here is submit. Okay, so this is already predefined. Whenever I give the type as submit, automatically the data is already collected in the form will be sent to the server. So I don't want to write any special scripting for sending this data collected to the form element to the server. So since I give the type as submit, automatically it will collect all the data from the text box and password. If we give something else also, it will be collecting from those elements as well and submit all those data to the page which I have mentioned in the action. So here we have set the action. The URL is first_page.html. And when I click on it, it will be automatically submitting it. So now you can see here submit button is there, and when I click on it, it will be going to the other page. So like it didn't send any data. Okay, so we can see it is moving to the next page. So now we are not going to concentrate on anything else. Okay, so the next thing we can see is if you don't want the text to be displayed on the button as submit, we can use an attribute called value. There I'm going to give as login. So here you can see now the text on the button is coming as login. So this is a very simple way of getting an input. So here we have received the text and a password from the user, and here we have a login button. So when I click on the login button, it will take me to the next page which I have mentioned here. Okay, so then you can check one more thing here. So here for the input type as text, we have given autofocus. So here also I am going to give autofocus. So if I give autofocus for both of them, what will happen means it will go to the first one which I have mentioned autofocus. So here the input type as text, here we have given the autofocus. So if two of them have given autofocus, more than, if you can see, a document must not include more than one autofocus. Okay, so if you include, it is automatically mentioning us. So here if I refresh, anyway it will going to keep the cursor on the first element. So but generally we should not have more than, in a form, under the form tag, for any one of the elements only we have to give autofocus, not more than one. So if I take this autofocus which I have given for the text, now if you can see, if I refresh my page, automatically you can see the cursor is now waiting on the password field. Okay, so let it be. So we are going to take away the autofocus from here. Then next one is, we are going to see one more attribute here that is called required. What is required means? So we should ensure that the user have entered some data in the username. Okay, say for example, if I click, if I'm not going to enter anything here, you can automatically see, please fill out this field. If I cannot log in until I'm going to give some data in the username because of this attribute required. So if I start typing something and if I log in, it will take me to the other page. So but it is not make sure, it is not ensuring that I'm getting some data in the password field, because we didn't give any required attribute in the password. So here also we will give some required attribute. So now if I click the login button, it is asking me to fill the data in the text username. And if I log in, press the login button, again it is ensuring that I am entering some data in the password field as well. And then if I give login button, it is making me to go to the other page. So this is how we could able to make a very simple form elements. So hereafter we are going to see other form elements. Okay. So the next form element I'm going to, okay, before that let us see one more attribute here, that is pattern. So I can set some pattern, okay, which means I can give some regular expression here, and I can make sure that, okay, whenever the username is set, it should have this many characters, or it should be in this format. Like that I can make sure. One symbol, we will make one pattern for the username and we'll make one more pattern for the password as well. So we'll say for the username there should be at least 6 characters there should be there. So I'm going to say dot for it. So dot specify, it can be anything. It can be a number or it can be a character or anything. So dot specify anything. Followed by I'm going to give a curly brace, open curly brace and close curly brace. And I'm going to say there should be minimum 6 characters should be there. So I put 6 and a comma. That's it, which means minimum 6, maximum can be anything. So I didn't say any maximum character, only I mentioned 6, which means minimum there should be 6 characters. So dot specifies any type of character, but it should be minimum 6. So let us check it. Let me give some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 characters I have given. I'm going to log in. You can see, please match the required format. Because we have said the pattern should be 6. If you want something to be displayed by your wish, I can use title here. And I can say, please enter minimum 6 characters. So now you can see I'm going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I log in, you can see please match the required format. It's already coming by default. And the title which I have given there, that is please enter minimum character, is also coming. If I press login, you can see please enter minimum 6 characters coming. So once I started entering 6 characters, automatically it will be going. Same thing, same way we can also give for the password field as well. So here also for the password, you can give some format. Say for example, you can we'll be giving some pattern to the password, and in the pattern I'm going to say always your pattern your password should start with KU, something like that. So I'm going to say KU, okay, and then I can say followed by some numbers, any numbers, that is so 0 to 9. This 0 to 9 should be for 4. The numbers can be a 4-digit. So this is how the password should be. So I'm saying the password should start with KU followed by digit. The digit should be a 4-digit number. So this is the pattern I have given. So let us check it. So for the username, there should be minimum 6 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to click login. First it is because we have given required there, it is asking us to fill something. And I'm going to start with some other thing. And if I give login, please match the required formats. It is asking us to match to the format. So let us give correctly. So we know that it should start with KU followed by a 4-digit number 1, 2, 3, 4. So now if I click it, it will take me to the next page. So to make you visible what I have entered, I'm going to I'm going to enter some text. I'm going to get some text here instead of password. Here also I'm not going to get some password. I'm going to say enter some text. So the type I'm going to change is text. So now you can see here what I'm going to enter. You can able to clearly see. So here first I have to enter some 6-digit 6 character values. I'm going to start it with some other value. So immediately you can see please match the required format. You can see something here coming as a pop-up. So I'm going to start with KU. Then followed by I'm going to give something else. So definitely it is going to warn us. Please match the required format. So we know the required format KU followed by some 4-digit number. So now nothing, no other problem. So if I reduce 1, definitely I'll get a warning, please match the required format. So if I give some 4-digit number, it will take me to the next page. So this is how we could able to use patterns, the regular expression, so that we can make sure that the user is entering some input which is the pattern with the pattern which we have specified. Okay, the next thing we are going to see is drop down list. So I'm going to ask them enter the branch. Okay, or I'm going to get some select something from it. Select something. So for the drop down list, the element tag name is select. Okay, select is the tag name. Okay, and to give the options of the drop down list, we have an option tag. So here is our option tag. So I'm going to give some fruits and vegetables here to make you to clearly understand. So let me give some fruits and some vegetables. So for the next option, I have to use the next option tag. I'm going to use kiwi. Also for the next option, I'm going to give some grapes. Okay. So something we have given, some options we have given. Immediately you can see the drop down list. Apple, kiwi, grapes are there. Let us give some vegetables as well. Option. Let me give tomato. And also let us add some more thing as potato. Okay, so we have in the drop down list, we have given some apples, some fruits as well as the vegetables. So what I have to do here is I have to group the vegetables separately and the fruits separately. So for that we have one more tag here like option group. In the option group I am going to say fruits, which means I am going to categorize my options. So the first option group is fruits and the next is vegetables. So again I am going to choose the option groups and I am going to say veggies. Okay, so now you can see here okay, so here this should be surrounding here. So where I have to start and where I have to end. Okay, and here as well, here I have to start the option and I have to end it here. So and then I have to give the title as fruits. Instead of saying here, we have to give here as a title, and here also we have to say option groups and the title as veggies. So now you can see here, again it is not coming. One second. Okay, here in the option group, so for naming the group, here we have to use the attribute called label. So I'm going to use label here as fruits, and here we have to, not the name, I have to specify label. So now if you see here in the drop down list, apple, kiwi and grapes are coming under the category fruits, and tomato and potato is coming under the category veggies. So here under the drop down list, for the drop down list we have to use the tag name as select, and so then options will help us to give the options. But if you want to categorize the options, we have to use option group, and then we have to use the attribute called label and we have to label it. So this is how we have to do the drop down list. And sometimes if you see here, which is my first option, that is automatically coming as the selected one here. But if you want something else to be selected, for example, if I want tomatoes to be selected by default, then I have to give here selected. So now here tomatoes is being, the tomatoes are displayed here in the drop down list as a default selected option. So if I want something else, if I want grapes to be selected by default, so you can see here grapes is coming as a default value selected in the drop down list. So selected attribute will help us to select a default one. And if you see in the drop down list, at a time we could able to see only one option. Sometimes if you want to I want at least two options to be visible, then I can give here size. I'm going to give 3. So you can see at a time I could able to see 3 items, 3 options at a time. Even you can change it to 2, so that at a time you could able to see 2 options. If I say 1, only 1 will be say, by default the size is 1. And if you see here, even though I have a drop down list, I could able to see select only one item at a time. If I want to select multiple at a time, I have to give the attribute multiple. So you can select multiple at a time. So let us give the size here as 4. So you can see 4 things are visible at a time, and I'm going to select apple and grapes at a time. So this is how a multiple attribute is going to help us to select more than one option at a time. So if I give this, if I take away this one, at a time I could able to select only one item, either apple or a grapes or any other options, not more than one. So if I want to select a multiple options, I can go for multiple. So at a time I could able to select more than one item. So this is about drop down list. And the visible text here you can see here is apple, kiwi, grapes, tomatoes and potato. But if I want to, when I write some scripting to do some interaction with the user, in that case we can use an attribute called value, where I can give some value. So this value will be written from this drop down list. Same way I can give this value attribute for all the drop down options. Okay, so this is the visible text, and this value will be written when I do some interaction, when I write some scripting language to get the value from it. So this is all about the drop down list. Drop down list, and we can group it, and we can say how many options to be visible at a time, and like we can give some values like this. So this is about drop down list. So let us go to the next thing, that is checkbox and radio button. First we are going to see about the checkbox. So here we are going to say again, the tag name is as usual input, and it is an empty tag. It doesn't have any content, but it has important attributes. I'm going to say the type as checkbox. So we know that checkbox means at the time we could able to select more than one options from the user. So here let us put some something here, like I'm going to say my hobbies. So in the next line I'm going to say my hobbies are reading. That is one of my option, and we can give some name to this. So just a name, how we have some name, same way we are going to name something. So this will be helping in the case very well helpful in checkbox as well as in the radio button. Like in the checkbox we can give in same name or different name as well, that doesn't matter. So it will help us to group certain options. So here even we can give anything, even I can say this is hobby 1, and same way let us have some other options like reading and then coding. Then I'm going to give another option as playing. So here we can see my hobbies. So all these things we could able to select at a time. So my all this can be my hobbies. So if you see here, when I load my page, nothing is selected by default. If I want something to be selected by default, then I have to give the attribute name here as checked. Okay. So here you can see for the reading I have given an attribute called checked. So by default this button will be selected. So if I want my coding also want to be selected by default, then for this also, as well as for this also I have to give the attribute check. So you can see this is also by default selected. So checked attribute will help us to check something by default. When I load the page itself, this will be get selected. If I take away, this will not happen. So if I remove it, so only we have given checked attribute for the reading option itself. So only that is selected. So this is about checkbox. The next thing we are going to see is radio button. So here again we are going to say choose, we can choose your gender. Okay, so we know that gender can be either female or male. So choose the gender. So here we are going to give the options. First is male, and we are going to use the input tag, and it's an empty tag, and here I am going to give the type as radio. Okay, for the radio button the type is radio. For the checkbox the type is checkbox. And here the important thing here is when we name it, the name should be same. So here also we have to give the name as gender, and the next thing is female. So here also the name should be gender. So here if you give the same name or a different name, that doesn't matter for the checkbox. If you give the same name, then this three will be grouped as one thing, that's it. But the important thing here you have to notice, for the radio button the name should be same. If I give, okay, and let us see the output of it. So if I give the same name, any one of this will be selected at a time. So if I click this, the other one will be unselected, and if I click this, other one will be unselected. But if I give the different name, if I give the different name for both of this, at a time I could able to select both. So we know that radio button means we could able to choose any one at a time. So if you give a different name, it become a different group, this become a different group. So that will make to behave like a checkbox. So you have to make sure this, whenever I create a radio button, the name should be same, so that at a time I could able to select anyone. And here also by default, if I want to check male by default, here also I can use the option checked. So we can see here male will be checked by default, and and according to the user's data they can change it. So that's all about the checkbox and the radio button. So hope you have understood thus far. And the next thing, we are going to group something. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to group this first two fields together. So for grouping, the first two fields are this, the type as text, and this first two, this one username and the enter some text. This can be grouped by and tag name called field set. Okay, so field set. So this field set is going to help us in grouping all the elements. Okay, so where we have to start it and where we have to end it properly, we have to group it. So I'm going to close it. So these are the two things I have to group, this two. So here I have started, I have ended. So here if you see, you can see a box surrounding it, so that we could able to see that I'm grouping only the first two form elements. And if you want to group, when I group it, if I want to give some name to it, there is a text box, there is a tag name called legend. So that will help us to name, give some name to this grouping. Let us we can give personal information, some title we can give. So now you can see for this legend grouping, I have given some name. Okay, so this is how we could able to do the grouping. So for the grouping we have used field set. For naming the group we have used legend. So then we will go to the next option here. So we know that when I click on the submit button, my data are automatically taken to the server. So this can also be done through an image also. So that's interesting. Let us look on it. So we are going to use break tag for the new line, and we are going to use again the input tag, and here we have to remember the type should be image. Okay, and here I have to give some source attribute and the source attribute where I have to give some name of an image which want to be behave like a button as when the submit button. And here I can use the width. I'm going to say the width of my image should be 50 and the height as also as 50. So now you can see there is an image on my web page. So when I click on it, automatically it is checking my data. So we know that it should be some 6 characters, and here it should be like starting with the KU and followed by some 4-digit numbers. And when I click on it, I have to when I click on this image, it is taking me to the next page. So same way we have a button, type is submit and the value is login. Same way we can even keep a image, and that image is doing the same work of a type is submit. So the type is image and the source should be the name of the image, and we can give the width and height for the image. Okay, so at a time if the image is we know how to use the image tag in HTML. In the image tag we'll be using an attribute called alternative, ALT. If the image is not there, something want to be displayed, we can say image is missing. If we give a wrong image in that place, so if I save it, nothing is no change can be visible here. But if I give a wrong image name, okay, I gave some wrong image name, you can see here image is missing. So that is the use of alternative. So if the image is not there, this alternative text will be displayed. So the important parts of our form elements is over. So now we are going to concentrate on like other interesting form elements. Like here, if we will be using one more button here. So instead of the type submit, like submit, we have another one value called reset. What is the use of reset means? It will automatically clear all the values entered by the user. So here we are going to give the value as clear. So here we can see there is a button came here as clear. When I click on it, so let us give some value here and here as well. And when I click, we know this is wrong, and when I click on the clear button, automatically the data I have entered there will be cleared. So that is the purpose of type as reset. So it will clear all the input value we have entered in the form elements. Okay. So the next thing we are going to see here is other type values like input. One by one we are going to check. When I say input, type as email. Okay, so let us remove this patterns here. Otherwise it will be checking every time. It will be checking the values, and it will be like prompting us to enter in the format. So to make it simple, I'm going to remove the pattern. And now here we are discussing about input type as email. Okay, so here let us say enter email. So here when I say the type as email, automatically it will be checking the pattern of an email. We know whenever we type an email, there should be a symbol and some, like for example, roshni@karunet.edu. So there is an @ dot symbol and all. So say for example here, let me put some email, I'm not going to put @ symbol. And when I say login, so here we have put required, right? So since it is asked, that's why it is asking some data here. And so here when I put login, you can see please include an @ in the email address and this is missing. So it will, when I say that, that's the advantage of making here the type as email. So when I say email, automatically without we writing the pattern, it will check the pattern of an email. The next thing I'm going to put it here is file. So we'll say enter the file. Choose, otherwise we can say choose a file. So here when I say the type as file, so and here you can see it will be giving an option to select some file from the from our local system. It will be displaying all kind of files. So I want to just say, don't give me all kind of files, give only the document files, Word, Microsoft Word. So I'm going to say accept, I'm going to say with the extension .doc. So it is going to show only the Word documents. So you can see now my options will be only Word documents and the folders. And if I want to say no, I want only the JPEG files, I'm going to say .jpg. So now this time when I choose it, it is showing the options of only the JPEG files. Here you can see the file option, the type is only JPEG, otherwise the folders. Inside the folders, it will be showing if there is some JPEG file, it will be displaying. And even you can say only, now instead of specifying like this, I can say one like this, show only the image. The image can be in any type. So I can say like this, image / asterisk. So asterisk specifies in the image any kind of extensions. So now if I choose it, it will be not only JPEG files, even PNG files also being displayed here. Likewise, not only images, you can choose for video. So if there is any video files, it will display videos. But you can see these are the video files I have in my file. So all are MP4 files. You can see here the type is MP4. So likewise, video, you can even choose audio. So audio / asterisk means any file format of audio. So if there is any file format audio files, it will be displaying nothing. I think only one is there. And otherwise, it will be showing the folders. And inside the folders, if you go again, if there is any audio file, it will be displaying that. So this is about this file. And let us go to the next thing. Let us put some shoes. And here we are going to discuss other important types. So here we'll be saying the type as color. If I say color, you can see here we have got an option to choose color. So I can able to choose the colors. Right? So when I say the type as color, it will be giving an option to choose the color. Same way, if I want to choose a date, I can give the type as date. So here you can see a calendar will be displayed so that I could able to choose the date. Okay, so it's coming as 3rd February 2021. And same way, if I want date, time as well, then I can say date, time, local. Okay, so it will be showing the time as well. So 1st February, and what is the time now? 12 p.m. Right? So now you can say the date as well as the time is displayed here. And same way, we can choose other option called month. So it will help us to choose the month, which month and which year. And even if you give a week, it will be like week selection. It will be showing which week, 5th week or 6th week or 7th week. Okay, so this is some of the options related to date and time. And other option, this is something interesting. I'm going to give the type as number. So when I say the type as number, it is going to allow me only numbers there. And you can see the minimum value of the numbers. Say for example, I'm going to say my minimum value of my number should be 10. And the maximum should be like, max should be like I'm going to say 13. So it's like this is a number field which is going to get an input minimum from 10. Say for example, if I click on this arrow, minimum value should be 10. And if I keep on clicking, only 13 will be coming. After that, it will not show any values. So that's about this. The type as number. So likewise, we have so many other options available and it will be. So these are the very important things we should be knowing. And finally, I'm going to end it by showing you 3 more form elements. One is meter. So it is going to give some visualization about something. We want to measure something. Whenever we want to show the measurement of something, this meter tag is going to help us. Okay. So it is showing, we are going to end it. And then here for the meter tag, I'm going to say what is the value want to be shown. I'm going to give some value and I'm going to say that what should be the minimum value. I'm going to say minimum value should be like 0 and the maximum value I'm going to say as 100. So now you can see here a visualization as a measurement. So here we can say it is a meter. So here we could able to see meters, and here we can see the minimum value should be like we can say here the minimum value should be 0 and the maximum value we can say it is 100. So you can say 0 to 100, but the value is 10. Even we can increase the value as 50 so that you can see 50% of that is measured. Same way like a meter, we have a progress bar which show the progression of download or any work we have completed. So the tag name is progress, and we have to close this tag. And now for the progress, you have to understand one thing is here for the progression, here we have you can give how much is completed the progression, and we have to give the max value. Min value is not there for it. The maximum I can say is 100. So here we can say the value up to it's 100, but out of it 20% is completed. So this is about the progression bar. So that's all about the I hope I have completed all the important tags we have in the HTML, and we can able to we can use this, and we can get input from the user, and we can submit this input to the server, and further we can able to proceed on it. Say for example, whenever we are creating email account, it is going to get some input from the user. So in that case, we can use the form elements and get the input from the user. And whenever we want to do an application form filling for joining anywhere, they will be asking us to fill application. So we can use this form elements, and we can get different type of input from the user. So we have see like getting a text box, and we can use a text box, we could able to get a single line of input. And one more thing finally I have to tell you is, if you want to get a single line of input, we used text box. So whenever we want to get a multiple line of input from the user, there we have a text area. So the tag name here is text area. Okay. So text area, and whatever the text you want to enter here, you can give comments. So whenever we want to get a comments from the user, we can use it will be like more than a line. That in that case you can go for text area. So here you can see here text area, where you can enter more than a line, more than one line of information. And if you want to display a bigger text box, here we have two attributes called calls. Calls will give you the number of column you want. Let me say the number of column is 10. And how many number of rows you want, let me give us 4 rows. So here you can get see a little bit bigger text boxes coming here. And by default I have given a text as comments. Okay, so it will be coming, and if you leave it empty, nothing will be shown there. So here in this side we can say enter your comments, or we can say comments. Okay, and so this is how we could able to get multiple line of input. So if you want a single line of input from a user, use the type as text. If you want more than one multiple lines of input from the user, in that case you can go for text area. So hope you have understood all these things. Thank you for listening.